From the issues that pertain to this hadith, especially in the modern times, is when a person cleans himself in the bathroom, does a person have to use stones? Or is it permissible to use toilet tissue? Or baby wipe? Or sanitary wipe? Or wet wipe? Whatever the case may be. Can a person just use water? Or can a person just use tissue and no water at all? These are all issues that are well known to the people of knowledge in the books of fiqh. Obviously, the Prophet ﷺ, he addressed the people and he spoke to them in countless hadith based off of what they knew, based off of what they had, what was available. We've explained this, the concept of water, okay, and many other things. And it does not necessarily mean that it has to be a stone. Obviously, there's a lot of contradiction among many people with regards to something that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, and they say that it has to be of that thing, but other issues, and they say it doesn't have to be of that thing, such as this. The other hadith teach us that it should be stones, ahajar. The Prophet doesn't mention paper or tissue, in which they had mindil. There was a mindil. There was some type of napkin or some type of towel. They had these things in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, as is mentioned in some hadith. Maimuna gave the Prophet ﷺ a napkin, a towel, a mindil, after he made ghusl, and he refused to use it. So the Prophet ﷺ said stones. And they say, no, you can use tissue, you can use baby wipes. But when it comes to zakat al-fitr, they say, no, it has to be food, and it cannot be money. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ clearly said, sa'an min kada. Everybody understand this? So we're not here to discuss the issue of zakat al-fitr in detail. What we're here to do right now is to make the point of their things which the Prophet ﷺ addressed the people to do, not necessarily meaning that the thing itself was meant, but it was the process itself that was meant. Clean yourself, whether it's a stone, which is easy, cheap, free, available in every place in Saudi Arabia. There was no Saudi Arabia back then. Obviously, we're talking about now the location, for those who don't know too much about the history of geography, things like this. Arabia, the Hijaz. The Prophet was in Medina. He left Mecca. So in the city of Medina and Mecca, okay, we're talking over 1,000 years ago, was there a place that you go that there wasn't a stone or a rock? So he spoke to them with that which is simple, easy, and easily accessed. And it wasn't something that he was necessarily speaking to that you had to use, but it had to be a stone. Okay? And the hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ told the companions not to use other things, not to use other pieces of matter, which proves that it's not restricted to a stone. So if a person uses a stone or a tree bark or a leaf, if a person uses a tissue and all of these things, then the ulama and the fuqaha, they say there's nothing wrong with that. And that's a very important principle with regards to the statement that Islam is applicable to every time and to every place. We as Muslims know that this is an absolutely true statement, one way or another, whether it's everything from the Sharia, certain issues of the Sharia, let alone the creed of Islam. Okay? But if someone sat you down and asked you and says, how is this applicable? Your deen says use a rock to clean your behind. The most sensitive part of your body, one of the most sacred parts of your body. You're going to use a stone, which may have sharp edges, rough edges, dirt, okay, bacteria, germs, etc. What is this? So every time you go somewhere in the bathroom, you have to carry 3 rocks in your pocket. And what do you do with the rocks when you finish with them? Do you flush them? Do you put them in it? What happens? We say that the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't intend for us to restrict ourselves to certain things. Rather, he wanted us to clean ourselves with that which wasn't sacred, that which was clean, that which wasn't food, that which wasn't a means of someone else's benefit and outfitting. So tissue or anything else that's clean, that's not sacred, that isn't food, it can be used. So Islam is applicable, and the Prophet ﷺ, in other words, in simple terms, he's telling us when you use the bathroom, when you have a bowel movement, make sure you wash your behinds. Period. Clean your behinds. Make sure that you're clean physically and spiritually, inwardly and outwardly. That's what he's saying to us. If it's a stone, if it's paper, or anything else that is not food, that is not sacred, using something which is sacred from a book and things like this. So, and this can be applied to any other issue of Islam. And there are other things which are clearly spiritual, ta'abudi, and which we are to do it 3 times and not say, oh, it's the modern era, let's just do it 2 times. No, that's different. But actual matter is different than something, a spiritual number or spiritual way of doing it. Naam. And there are many other things, many other issues that's an entire lecture in itself. And many people who speak on the modern issues of Islam and the Sharia, they crash when they get into this.